What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I am your host, as always, Coach Steve. On today's episode, we're throwing away the playbooks, guys. We are getting bold with our plays today, and it's our bold prediction episode, guys. 157. We've gone through a lot of podcasts over the last 3 years now, and this is going to be our third season getting into the fantasy season. Football season is less than a week away, or it's a week away, basically, at this point, to the kickoff of the Thursday night football game with the Cowboys and Bucks. Before that, like I said, we're getting a little bold tonight. We're throwing the playbook out, and we're giving you guys some crazy plays like the Philly special and some other things maybe like that today. So let me introduce, of course, my co-host, Coach Jibbs. What is going on, buddy?
I kind of added myself to the stream, so I'm doing good today. Starting to get heavy in this redraft stuff. I think my whole Labor Day weekend is packed with stuff like this. I'm so excited. I get to talk smack with my league mates, and we got an interesting fellow to introduce. Is one of my fellow league mates and a guy who's I know does more fantasy than you and me combined. He got me into it first before you did, but you guys are basically my rivals, to say the least.
Well, I love it. So, and bring him on in.
And introducing, we have Matt Domino.
Hey everybody, pleasure to be here. Ready to bring some spice to this podcast and give you guys some bold predictions today, guys.
Awesome. So a pleasure to have you in, Matt. So we'll kind of get right started into our day, guys. So again, there's some news. Obviously, a bunch of people going on IR, T.Y. Hilton, Troy Bateman, a couple other guys here and there are kind of going on IR for a couple of weeks in the season. So I'm sure if you're drafting this weekend, you'll notice that they have an out sign next to their name, and you know that most likely some of these guys are going to only be out for the 3 short week window. So keep that in mind. Some other news that kind of broke today here. And this one was interesting, and it might be for more of a dynasty format, and it's Jacob Hollister. He did sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars today, a position where they didn't really have a good tight end outside of James O'Shaughnessy. So we know Jacob Hollister, 2 years in Seattle, decent performances, and someone who'd be able to start at times in fantasy. Matt, I'll let you kind of go first. Do you have anything on? Do you like Jacob Hollister there?
I love Jacob Hollister. I think it's a great fit. There with the rookie QB and Trevor Lawrence. I know he's going to try to target the tight end position more frequently than you see veteran quarterbacks try to target them. And Hollister, he's got good hands. He gets open. He's got some speed. I think he's going to bring a good dynamic to that offense. It's also got some pretty good blocking skills to him as well, too, if I remember correctly. So, Jacob Hollister, definitely a name to keep in mind here, especially in a league where tight ends are not a very, formidable position outside the top 3 or 4 guys that you have. Hollister, I think, is a name to watch as the season progresses and maybe a waiver wire pickup somewhere later down the road.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Jibbs, what about you, my friend?
Well, they don't really have anybody down in Jacksonville, so they definitely need someone to fill the void in the tight end position. So I like the fit and the opportunity he has available to him. Well, Jacksonville is definitely going to be like a dumpster fire, trying to catch up in games. So he's going to have some chances. But for me, if he's a guy that you have very interest, I have other guys that I like to get sleeper tight ends. But Matt said, is definitely a guy you should speculate late down the road in the season. Me, you. I'm sure Domino as well. He likes to get a lot of the premier tight ends, but if you have to stream tight ends, you could be a guy that could fill the void a week. But I'm not really going to bank on that. I'm trying to get some guys like Jonnu Smith or Mike Gesicki, names like that late in the drafts.
Yeah, he's and like you guys kind of mentioned already, he's basically not someone you're going to draft in most regular formats and redraft. But definitely someone that could be a week by replacement, or if you're in Dynasty League, of course, someone you should definitely go out there and throw a bid on, very minimal money, because he could end up having a pretty decent season. We know rookie quarterbacks love to throw to their tight end position more often than not, and I was pretty surprised that Jacob Hollister did get released, to be honest. So it's someone to look out for, and someone to kind of throw a small claim in if you're in that kind of dynasty format. So. The next piece of news just dropped 10 seconds ago, really right before we started doing our podcast today. And Wayne Gallman just signed with the Atlanta Falcons here. I know they have Mike Davis and Quadro Patterson and can't think of the other guy's name. I just saw it. Quadro Olson on there, but he got released. So obviously Wayne Gallman signing there is a replacement for him, and we've seen Wayne Gallman, especially at least last year, kind of be fantasy relevant here, and is an opportunity for him to kind of see this some possible work in there because we know Mike Davis is Mike Davis. So Matt, do you like this at all? Is it something that you're going to keep your eye on, or?
I actually am a huge fan of Wayne Gallman. Back when he was with the Giants, there was arguments that he was running better than Saquon, at periods. That offensive line with the Giants was not good. Saquon, he's a side-to-side runner, does a lot of jukes, spins, stuff like that. He's not a downhill runner. Wayne Gallman attacks the holes. He's somebody that could find gaps in the line and pick up, anywhere between 3 to 5 yards, per carry. And I imagine the Falcons are going to try to use a running back by committee, with Arthur Smith there coming in as new head coach. I think he's somebody that's going to try to establish the run. He's trying to find some guys who he knows are going to pick up, small gains to medium gains. He's not going to be anybody that's going to blow you out of the water. But if an injury to Mike Davis comes up, Wayne Gallman's the guy to look at. He's got solid hands coming out of the backfield. He could definitely make plays. We've seen him score touchdowns before. I think it's a way better backup than they've had, outside of Davis. And there's a chance that he could even take Davis's job, early to midway through the season if he outperforms him. So, we'll see what happens. But I like the signing. I think Wayne Gallman is a very underrated running back. And I think that, he could be in a position where he's going to get more touches and more opportunities that could kind of, expose his talent, kind of like how Mike Davis did last year with Carolina. So I think it's a good signing for them. I do think that he brings, more of that 1-2 punch than what they had previously. And we'll see what he could do with the opportunities if he's given it. So, yeah, I do like it.
I can't disagree with you whatsoever there. Jibs, what about you, my friend? How do you feel about the situation now?
Jibs, you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Jibs.
I was typing, but I like it a lot just because, everyone was kind of speculating what the Falcons would do in the offseason. Oh, they just got Mike Davis. They need someone behind them. And they didn't do anything until this last week, and then they released pretty much everyone they had on the roster last year, including Quadri Otterson. But the Falcons' offense, last year, even with Todd Gurley just being kind of abysmal and in and out and kind of missing for periods of the season, he had 195 rushes. Mike Davis rush attempts, but Mike Davis could definitely fill that void. I don't think he's gonna be a 250 kind of carrier. And besides that, Brian Hill had 100 rush attempts. Even Ito Smith got 63. So I think Wayne Gallman is gonna have a role. The Falcons literally went out their way to sign him and release a player. So I think that tells you what the organization thinks about him. And even though it's going to be a sticky situation, he's definitely a guy you could look at, especially after the drafts are over, and maybe he'll kind of get a little bit of a bump during this week's drafting if people are kind of speculating on if Mike Davis is a true thing down the road.
Right, and I don't really think it hurts Mike Davis that much until we see it during the season. Isn't somebody I wasn't drafting him already, but I don't think his value or anything moves down. But it's definitely something to keep your eye on this coming season. And if I was drafting Caldwell Olsen with maybe my last pick at times as a home run pick at that point. Wayne Gallman, he only has 100 less career rushing yards than Mike Davis does, and Mike Davis has been in the league 3 more years. So Wayne Gallman has shown us something at times, and I wouldn't be surprised if, because this is a playoff team or they want to be a playoff team because they have the veteran quarterback, they might have to get creative with their play calling if Mike Davis can't hold up to the factor. We've seen Wayne Gallman do it before. So it's definitely interesting. And again, if you're in a dynasty format, it's definitely something I'm considering. I already threw a bid out there. I opened waivers, and I just picked them up in one of my leagues. So you throw a little bit out there and get them and see what happens with them. So
do you think it's kind of the Falcons saying Cordell Patterson, look at this guy, he's barely a running back and he's just kind of beasting, and then they got bums are okay, you guys are done. They're just kind of just going with the Patterson flow. I think he has a role in the offense. I don't know how big of a role, but I think they'll use him more than the Bears did.
He'll get his 6 or 7 touches, and one of them will go for 50-yard run, and they're scoring. People will go nuts about it because it's
not fantasy relevant.
Yeah, maybe in DFS, a deep DFS play, but Yeah, not no more redraft most likely. So what's up, Kyle? Thanks for tuning in, buddy. But that's the end of the news right now. Nothing really too major happened. It's pretty minor stuff going on right now. So like I said, we're throwing away the playbooks now, guys. We're getting bold with our takes tonight, and we're doing a bold position episode here now. Matt, so you are a guest for tonight. I will allow you to go first. I don't know if Jib sent you the doc or not.
Yeah, he did.
All right. So we're going to do one bold prediction about our football teams, and then the other three will be actually about fantasy relevant stuff. So Matt, I don't know what your team is, but you go first, I think.
So this is a little hilarious, but I'm a huge Cincinnati Bengals fan.
Okay, I like it.
And I think my bold prediction for the Bengals this year is I think they can compete for the division. The Browns, I know, are the favorite, along with the Ravens. The Steelers, they don't scare me too much. I think that with Najee Harris back there, I think they have, they're going to have an improved run game. But I don't think that, I don't think their defense is going to be as good as it was last year. And, Ben Roethlisberger is not getting any younger. So I do think that the Bengals this year have a serious chance there at the division. I know that's a little bit bold, coming from, one of the top 4 worst teams in the NFL last year. But they revamped some of their offensive line with Austin Reiter from the Vikings. He should help out their run game and their pass game a lot. Getting Joe Burrow back healthy, from what I hear, that's going to be a huge plus. And the receiving options there with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, even the tight end Uzama, and Jamar Chase. I know he's had his struggles with the drops here in preseason games. I think he's going to overcome that. That offense is going to be fierce. I could see them averaging anywhere between 20 to 24 points a game. And, their defense led by Jesse Bates, he's a superstar, starting to making that kid. He's going to see a lot of action back there. He's going to get I think he's going to, break up a lot of passes, probably break his, career interception for a season. And I could see the Bengals going, with the 18-17 game season, I could see them going, 11-7, 11-6, anywhere 10-7, 11-6 around there. So, their schedule is not too tough. They could take care of their division. So yeah, I could see the Bengals, competing pretty heavily for their division and making a run at it this year.
Must be nice to be a hopeful Bengals fan.
I'm one of the few. Out there. But listen, I've been following them for years. Last year, I knew they weren't going to do anything. Their offensive line was atrocious. Everybody told everybody last year, hey, stay away from Joe Mixon. What did I end up doing? I ended up trading for Joe Mixon like week 3. Ended up totally handicapping my season. Still made it to the championship. Lost to Jabron over here and his team partner at the time. But I think the Bengals are kind of getting underlooked based off of their history. Kind of like how the Browns were for so long when they were had their streak of countless losing seasons after losing seasons. But the one big takeaway that I get from the Bengals is having Frank Pollock back as the offensive line coach. He's going to be a huge factor for them developing their young linemen. And I just saw that the Bengals this year only have 5 players over 30 years old. So having a young group compared to the Marvin Lewis era where everybody was over 33 years old, it seemed like, they're going to have some fresh legs out there, people willing to learn, be eager. And I think that's going to be, they're going to be hungry to compete. So, I think all those factors going into play, and the schedule as well. Like I said, I looked at the Bengals schedule and I could see them, reasonably winning, 10 or 11 games this year. It's not out of the question. I know some people have them pegged for, 5 or 6 wins. A lot of their games last year were, one score games. So it's not like they were far off. Even when they didn't even have Joe Burrow as their quarterback, they weren't really getting blown out every week. And with their defense improving, Mike Hilton, Awuzie from the Dallas Cowboys coming in, their corners are going to be healthy. We're still worried. I'm worried about what's his name from the Vikings that came over there. I can't remember his name right now. I think Alexander, the cornerback. But I know there's questions about his health. Oh, no, Trey Waynes. Trey Waynes. I'm sorry, that's what I'm thinking.
Trey Waynes, yeah.
I know his health is a little bit in question. I know he was banged up during one of the preseason games. But overall, yeah, I'm big on the Bengals this year. That division, the Ravens, they don't scare me. Their offense, with J.K. Dobbins going down, I think that's a big hit for them. They revamped their offensive line. I think they're going to take some time to adjust and gel together. And, Lamar, I think that the more and more he's in the league, these defenses and these defensive coordinators are going to figure out ways to contain him and prevent him from beating them with his legs and force him to throw. And they have no wide receivers outside of, Mark Andrews. I don't even really count Marquise Brown as a legit wide receiver. He's out there, but he's not blowing anybody away anymore. So he beat up the Dolphins that 1 week for like 35 points for his rookie debut, and that was about the last we've seen of Marquise Brown.
Yes, sure did. That was a great day.
But yeah, their competition is going to be the Browns, and the Browns. I still think they're the Browns. I'm not sold on Baker. I think Baker's I think Baker's disguised by his run game. Kind of like how Carson Wentz was, able to, skate by for a little bit, thinking that everybody thought that he was a, superstar quarterback. I don't think that's going to be the same situation here with the Browns this year. I think they're going to stop the run, and I think the Browns are going to, hover around 500 this year, which is my bold prediction for the North.
Double take.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Damn, he was with ham on the North.
Oh, he sure did. What about you, Jib, over there?
Okay, well, I gave you the doc, and I didn't even read the thing. I just did read it. But for my team, I think my fellow rookie, Devontae Smith, will lead the rookies in receiving yards this year. I just think people are kind of sleeping on the Eagles' offense. I know, I'm not really expecting anything spectacular out of them. I don't think they're going to win the division or anything like that, but I think there's something to be had there. The offensive line was just in shambles last year. We have a second-year quarterback who's going to have a new head coach, but I think he's just a little bit further along than he was last year. So I know he has to work on his accuracy, but comparatively to the other rookie wide receivers, there's nothing in Philadelphia. Greg Ward was our leading receiver last year, followed by Zach Ertz, who's going to be a second fiddle in the offense. Dallas Goedert's probably going to get a little bit of bump in the offense, but then Rager, I think he could just instantly be close to a 90 target kind of guy, at least a guy who's going to be within that 70, 80 catch range as a rookie. But I think he could make plays, and he doesn't profile like Rager or Quez Watkins would, as speedsters who could kind of be a vertical threat downfield. He could be getting in and out routes, and I think he's a good guy to get in mid rounds and leagues this year too. So that's my take for the Eagles.
Now, Jibs, I just have a question for you. I know you referenced Zach Ertz before. I saw an interesting number about preseason between Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. Did you know that Zach Ertz has actually played more snaps than Dallas Goedert in the preseason? I mean, that's something to think about.
I watched him.
I'm looking at my ranking sheet. They have Zach Ertz, tight end 22 right now.
Steal.
Who's out here saying that Dallas Goedert's taking over the reins? I see Dallas Goedert, tight end 9 by Fantasy Pros. That's a pretty substantial, difference. You're talking about a guy who's not even really getting drafted at tight end 22 compared to, they're projecting Dallas Goedert to be a top 10 tight end. And,
it's crazy.
I see the talent there by Goedert, but I don't see the usage that we would like to see from him, compared to how they're using Zach Ertz in the preseason. And, my thought is possibly they're looking to trade Zach Ertz, maybe showcase what he could still do. But, based off of what I've seen, what I've read, the coaches are happy that he's there. He wants to be there. Just coming from a guy from Philadelphia, you're a big fan there. I just wanted to see kind of how do you see that much of a drop-off between the two of them?
No, I don't see much of a drop off. I know Dallas Goedert is now I see one considerably, but Goddard's definitely gonna be more athletic. Ertz they're both steady tight ends, just to be honest with you. Like I was very bullish on Dallas Goddard before the draft season started, and then as thinking like Zach Ertz will be shipped out of town, but everyone made their kumbayas you probably can't see me anymore, but everyone made their kumbayas this week, and I think he's going to be there in the offense. I don't know whether the philosophy is going to change, if they're going to be running as many two tight end sets as they did, but like if one of them's on the field, it's definitely a good assurance policy, and the Eagles are probably just going to use both, because even Dallas Goedert has had some injuries, minor, if it was him getting hit in a brawling fight in North Dakota, or if he just kind of hurt his hand somewhere else. But it's good to have two guys, but I won't touch Goddard. I would either dig down in the tight end and probably take Zach Ertz, because every draft I've done, Zach Ertz has never been picked, and he's
undrafted. He's not even being drafted.
He's going to be that waiver wire week one guy who
he's
does.
He's going to be there. If you're somebody that doesn't have a tight end and you're like, hey, maybe I want to pick up another tight end that's a shot in the dark, there's no harm in picking him up. He could be somebody that, if there is an injury to Goddard, or, if Zach Ertz, shows that he still has that superstar talent that he showed for so long there in Philadelphia, that could be a steal. It wasn't that long ago that he was going top 4 tight ends. So, keep that in mind, everybody.
I love that, Matt. Keep Jibs on his feet there. Love that a lot there. Love when Jibs has to think on his feet right there at the time. Love that for sure. So I'll finish up here with my team. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big Dolphins fan here. And the way I see it this year with Miami playing out is that I do believe Tua takes a step. I don't think it's a step that many people might want him to take in the second year here, or at least I would want him to take. I think he does enough to make himself a reliable quarterback in general, and he's definitely going to be someone I think helps us get past the first round of the playoffs. I think there were 4 teams that haven't won a playoff game in the last 20 years. Miami has been one of those teams here. I think this year, we sneak into the playoffs as a 6th seed, 7th seed, whatever, and we win a game actually, and it's definitely a shocker. And then we go into the next round against some of the big hitters and we lose, because I just don't think we're there yet. But I think we're heading in the right direction and making the playoffs. And I think winning this year with Tua taking the next step, the defense continuing to be a top tier unit. Jalen Waddle addition is amazing for this offense here and takes them to the next level. It's just not the level we want yet. And I think hopefully Miami fans won't be mad about this, but round 2 knockout will make me somewhat happy, at least as a Dolphins fan. I'd love to win the Super Bowl this year, and maybe who knows, but round 2 knockout is I think what's going to happen with Miami this year. All right, so we're done with our teams, guys.
Hold up.
Uh-oh, what's up?
You guys don't even have the second best quarterback in the division.
Zach Wilson?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, the Tony Romo take when Tony Romo said Zach Wilson is a stud. Didn't hate that, but as a Dolphins fan, I hate that. So,
Zach Wilson's going to be a stud from what I see.
Going to be an amazing quarterback.
And with Saleh there, he's going to keep him motivated, to keep him learning, keep him hungry to continue to grow. They're going to, I'm not a Jets fan. I have nothing connected to the Jets at all. But I think the Jets finally got a quarterback that they could believe in. So if you're a Jets fan out there, I think you're going to be a lot more excited about this season than the past 10. So
20.
Big supporter of the Zach Wilson, unfortunately, but it's part of what I do here now. So we're done with the teams now, guys, and now we're getting back into some fantasy talk here now. We're going to do some fantasy bowl predictions, a little hot, a little mild, a little extra bold spice. To 3 predictions for 3 fantasy players that we choose to. So, Matt, who's your first bold take there?
All right, so a little mild one here. I think T. Higgins coming from my Bengals. T. Higgins, we saw T. Higgins last year literally show what his talent can do: the hands, the focus, the tiptoeing along the sideline, his red zone ability. I could see T. Higgins leading the AFC North in touchdowns from a wide receiver. I see him scoring 14 touchdowns this year, currently ranked wide receiver 23. I think T. Higgins has a top top 8 wide receiver finish on the year. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, T. Higgins is going to be his favorite target. I know Jamar Chase and, Burrow have a connection going back to LSU. I think it's going to take Jamar Chase a little bit more time to adjust to the NFL speed. I see him really coming along around week 6, week 7, showing what he can do, learning how to run the routes that he needs to run. T. Higgins is a proven stud. And he doesn't get a lot of credit because he's on Cincinnati. He doesn't get looked at too much. I think he's currently going around like the, 5th round, 4th, 5th round, 6th round in some drafts, depending on your formatting. But I see him finishing, among the tops of the wide receivers. I think he's going to have a better finish than, guys like Adam Thielen. I think he's going to have a better finish than guys like, if Andy Dalton's throwing to Allen Robinson all season, he's going to have a better finish than Allen Robinson. Even the 3 Bucks, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and AB. I see him outscoring all 3 of them as well, just because of, I know Burrow likes him. I know Burrow looks his way a lot, and he's going to be the red zone guy that they have there. And the Bengals throw the ball a lot. I think they threw it on around 65% of their plays last year. I think it was among the highest in the NFL among teams passing. So I think you're going to continue to see that trend move into this year as well. So I'm excited about T. Higgins. I think he's going to be somebody to keep an eye on. If he's there, 5th, 6th round, 7th round, I think he's a good guy to target amongst the other guys around that, that gap. I see Kenny Golladay, 28. He's going to have a way better season than Kenny Golladay, I think. Young guy, really no injury history as of yet. And, somebody who I think is going to finish in the top 10 for sure at the wide receiver position.
All right. I like it.
I'm glad you said that. I was about to get walked out the draft room 2 nights ago because I picked T. Higgins over Jamar Chase.
Oh, dude, no, it's not even a question, man.
I know it's not a question, but
people get so hung up on, Jamar Chase's 20 TDs in college at LSU. Competition's not comparable, Looking at, LSU, I think Jamar Chase was scoring, 4 touchdowns some games against these lower tier colleges. And don't get me wrong, the connection that him and Burrow have is undeniable, but he was away from football for a year. You're transitioning to the NFL. That's a big gap for somebody to come in who hasn't played football in a year. If you think you're just going to come in and roll over the league, I think that a lot of people are going to be disappointed in the numbers he's putting up. Quite frankly, I would not take Jamar Chase anywhere, before round 8 or 9. And I see him going round 5 and 6 as well too, right? Sometimes right before, T. Higgins.
Hot spot right now.
Yeah, I think it's, to me as a Bengals fan, I think it's crazy. I do think T. Higgins hovering around that 12 to 14 touchdown mark for the year. He's going to be Burrow's favorite target.
Love that for sure.
For me, I'm going to go with Marquez Callaway, and I think he's going to lead the Saints in receiving yards, and that's outbeating Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas whenever he returns. So we've seen in the preseason, and we have confirmation that Jameis Winston is going to be the starter, and I think that's going to be better for the Saints' at least receiving skill weapons. So I think he's going to just be more confident than Taysom Hill. I know Taysom Hill is still going to have his due day in the offense, but Marquez Callaway, he literally has already we'll probably say a 6-game head start on Michael Thomas. So I think if he could get 600 yards or close to 500 yards right there, that's at least within that time period, that's all right. I think as soon as Michael Thomas comes back, and obviously Alvin Kamara is going to be a huge role in this offense, so I don't want to discount that, but I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to get 1,000 receiving yards this year given the circumstances. But I could be wrong, and maybe Alvin Kamara is 1,000 kind of type of guy, and my bold prediction is wrong. But I think Marquez Callaway is going to lead the team.
Love Marquez, love Callaway this year.
Great,
love him.
Great.
He was actually going to be one of my bolder predictions later on.
You keep going.
He's going to finish top 30 wide receiver. I'm telling you right now, he's going to be up there. Jameis slings it. And, if he still has his turnover problems, I still think he gives the Saints a better chance to win than Tyson. I think they'll keep rolling him out there. He's going to keep slinging it. And, anytime that you have a wide receiver receiving passes from Jameis Winston, he's heaving it. So Callaway has shown that he's got good hands, good speed, good separation, passes the eye test. He's just one of those guys that has not had a lot of opportunities. Drew Brees was limited in how far he could throw for so long. I love Callaway. I think he's ranked wide receiver 50, 51 right now, what I'm looking at, So
He's
going low. He's going real low right now.
He's somebody that you could target, after round 10 and easily feel comfortable starting, in my opinion, week to week, without even questioning it, So I'm a huge Callaway fan.
Who you got for us, Steve? Is that coffee too?
No, just a little tea right now, and a little tea today. I had enough coffee today, but my first mild prediction is that Najee Harris finishes as a top 6 fantasy running back this year. People are, top 6. Yeah, I know. I could have said top 6.
No.
Jabron knows how I feel about Najee. Love Najee. Love him.
Love Najee. So
love him.
With Najee, guys, everyone's, talking about the O-line. Oh, it's such a bad O-line now. O-lines change every year. Things happen. People improve. People grow in their roles, especially on the offensive line. It's a position that can kind of change overnight, to be honest, if they get the right personnel and the right people that fits the scheme of what they're trying to do. Najee Harris is probably the best running back they've had since Lev Bell. Yes, James Conner's in that range as well, but Najee Harris is a tremendous back. I mean, the man can throw, he can catch, he can receive, he can rush. He's going to be used all over the field. Benny Snell is there. Anthony McFarland is there. Both those guys are just a guy. Najee Harris is going to see probably at least 250 carries this coming season, and probably somewhere around the 40 range mark in terms of targets, at least. And he's going to see, if they're in the goal line, they're going to let Najee Harris run that in, because you saw him do it time and time again at Alabama. Again, he's going at the beginning of mid-round 2 right now, and I think he can finish. And this is a mild, bold prediction. I think he can finish as a top 6 fantasy option by the end of the season.
Love Najee.
Nothing wrong with
If you have the opportunity to take Najee in the second round, you take Najee in the second round. I'm saying that right now.
Agreed. All right. Let's see. Where are we at here now? I took that down. Matt, what's your number 2 here? It's a little more bold now.
Jamal Williams is going to outscore DeAndre Swift on the season by at least 50 fantasy points.
That's a nice, bold take. I like that.
You like that over there.
And I'll tell you why. The Lions are, the Lions have already came out and said Williams is 1A. They've had so many opportunities to commit to DeAndre Swift, and they refused to. They were running Adrian Peterson over Swift last year. There's got to be a reason for that. There's got to be something there that we're not seeing that's going on behind the scenes. I know him with the concussion history. I know the injury history is there. It's a huge concern. He may not even be ready for week 1. Jamal Williams, I saw this stat the other day, unbelievable stat. Over 650 touches, no fumbles in his career. That's what you call reliability, consistency. You saw what he could do receiving out of Green Bay. He's got the talent. He's got the skills. The Lions have one of the best underrated offensive lines in the NFL. They're going to try to control the ball by running the ball. They don't have too many receivers there that you could rely and trust on. So that they're going to be throwing to the running back out of the backfield. They're going to be losing, which is great for the 2-minute drills. Fourth quarter, running backs sometimes get 4 or 5 catches end of game just from their team losing, them trying to move the ball down the field there at 2 minutes. Jamal Williams is definitely a name to keep an eye on, and he's falling. He's going late. I'm trying to find him. I have him running back 39 by Fantasy Pros. This was printed out today, these rankings, updated today. Running back 39. DeAndre Swift is going pumped hung up on the projections when they look at their sites and, they see, Swift projected over 200 fantasy points for the season. I don't think he scores over 130 fantasy points on the year. I really don't. I don't think he's going to stay healthy. I don't think he's going to be on the field. And he's somebody who I know has a lot of fumble history. DeAndre Swift. He starts fumbling. I know they're not going to want to keep him out there. They're going to pivot to Jamal. Jamal is also a little bit bigger. He may be seeing some of the goal line work. He's been very successful in his day at the goal line. Jamal Williams is a name to keep an eye on. And I think he's going to be somebody that you could see easily, in my opinion, outscore DeAndre Swift.
I like it. I got a little bit bolder. I like that one. And I think it's honestly very doable, to be honest. There's a situation in the world where that actually happens this year. I like that one, Matt. Jibs, my friend, over to you. What is your second one?
I kind of wanted to switch it up after I did the math, but I'm just going to get a little mild on here. And Gus Edwards, I think he could be top 5 in the league in NFL rushing this year. Basically, we'll say like the Ravens running backs. I'll just use like 350 rushing tips as like an indicator. And I think Gus Edwards easily could get to like a 250 to 275 like rush attempt threshold. I don't think he's going to be like towards 300 with Lamar Jackson in the offense, obviously taking some runs away, but still, like the guy averaged 5 yards per carry. We were talking about this on the last podcast, and you do that simple math, that's easily like over 1,250 yards. So you start off with there, and like I know Gus Edwards, there's been some games where he just comes in as like just a backup like over a couple last years, and he'll have like 5 carries and it'll be like for 80 yards. So you have some boom potential for some games right there. So I don't think like, even with 1,250 yards as a baseline, I think he could have some Derrick Henry type runs against some suspect defenses. I know it's kind of mish and mosh some of the defense he'll be facing, but the Bengals kind of got a little bit loaded on defense this offseason, but like as Matt says, like there's still going to be like dogfight games, especially in the AFC North. So I could see some grinding games, and I really don't see like Justice Hill and the other guy, I forget his name, being that much. Taysom Williams being that big of a factor. I see them being like 5-6 like carry kind of guys, but I think Gus Edwards could be like at least a 17 touch kind of guy week to week.
It's going to be interesting to see how they divvy up their carries. I haven't heard too much about Justice Hill, which has kind of surprised me. He's kind of have been left in the dark there. I like Gus Edwards a lot. I think Gus Edwards has a lot of potential, and if the Bengals are going to get beat, it's going to get beat on the ground. So, that is going to be a continued issue with them is stopping the run. So, he plays them twice. I imagine him doing pretty well against them. Still. Yep. Yeah, Gus Edwards. I like Gus Edwards a lot.
Detroit. There's some suspect teams down in that.
Yeah, that they play this year for sure.
Yeah, definitely got the boldness there, Jibs. I like it. So my next bold take here, guys. I'm going to stay with my Dolphins here on this one again. That's why I didn't talk too much about the Dolphins, but Mike Gesicki, tight end of the Miami Dolphins, finishing as a top 4 tight end in fantasy this year. Yes.
Let me back up a little bit.
That's a bold one. Bold one.
Back up. Absolutely bold with everything we know about the tight end position and who's there currently. So the way I see it is that, Mike Gesicki is a guy who's very athletic, can catch the ball. He's got, good speed to his game there. And it seemed like he didn't really have a connection with Tua. People were saying, they're like, Ryan Fitzpatrick made him look better. Well, if you look at the games that Tua played with Mike Gesicki last year, it was about like 5 or 6 games that they actually played together. And he projected out to like a 17-game season. I mean, he was someone who was close to 100 catches, 900 yards, and about, I think it was like 8 touchdowns. I don't have it off the top of my head. But those numbers like that talks for a top-tier tight end. And I think the way you look at this Dolphins team now is that they wanted to spread the offense around. And they also wanted to obviously get the ball in space to players, which that works with Jalen Waller and it works with Will Fuller, absolutely. But I think it helps Mike Gesicki, and it's not something no one's talking about this year, besides teams like me at this point. But what it is, it's, you're spreading the offense around, you're leaving the middle a little bit open for Mike Gesicki to have more one-on-one coverages for a guy who actually stays on the field. Let's not forget that either. Will Fuller, injury prone. Devontae Parker, injury prone. Preston Williams, injury prone. Even Jalen Waddle has a little bit of injuriness to him. Who's going to be left at the end of the day? It might just be Mike Gesicki, and at some point, Mike Gesicki is going to just eat up targets and just eat up yards at some point and get touchdowns. So I have him as a bold prediction, top 5, top 4 fantasy tight end this year.
I like that. Mike Gesicki's kind of a little injury prone, but he's a warrior. Like I think, like what it was like week 15 or 4, late, like the 12 or 13, where he got like torn up and he came back like next week, like his hand was basically falling off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's a warrior.
He's a tough guy.
And he's from Jersey too.
I love Gesicki. I like him even more with Tua because, like I said earlier, young quarterbacks, they target the tight end. Fitzmagic, he was throwing it downfield. He was using his magic, throwing it down the sidelines. He wasn't aiming towards the tight ends too much. He wasn't checking it down too much. You're going to see Tua, Tua's play style is a lot more analytical, methodical. He tries to beat teams with his mind and outsmart them. I can imagine that him and Gesicki are going to connect quite a bit this year. I like Gesicki a lot. I'm not sure about the top 5, but I do see him being a really reliable tight end, possibly scoring anywhere between 8 to 10 points a week.
Like that too. Love that. So Matt, back to you, my friend. Your final, and this one's the boldest take we can give for the night.
This is a bold one. This is bold. Kyle Pitts is finishing the season as a tight end 1 over Travis Kelce. Here's the thing. I'm a huge Travis Kelce fan, huge George Kittle fan, Mark Andrews, I love him. I know Kyle Pitts, first year in the league. Kyle Pitts, he doesn't need to do anything for me to be convinced the guy's a superstar. I saw what he did in college. I see the speed. I see the athleticism. He reminds me a lot of young George Kittle, when George Kittle first entered the league. The speed that we were seeing, the athleticism from him. Matt Ryan's a very smart quarterback. Losing Julio Jones there, that opens up a whole boatload of targets for them to throw to the tight end. And looking at Matt Ryan, historically, he's loved the tight end position. Look at Austin Hooper, his career year before he went to the Browns. He had something like 80 targets or something like that year. You're going to see Pitts be a focal point in that offense. He's going to be getting – I think he's going to be seeing a lot of different formations, possibly even out of the backfield. I think we're going to be able to see him, especially with Arthur Smith back there. I know he likes, pounding it. And kind of like how the 49ers use Kittle on those, reverse sweeps and those little handoff and pitches. I think we're going to see Pitts use that same way. I think Kelce is not going to be the Travis Kelce that we've seen in the past. And saying that, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I may take Travis Kelce tomorrow in the first round in my league. But I'm sitting here saying that I think that Kyle Pitts is going to be the tight end 1. If I thought that I could get Pitts tomorrow, I probably would hold off. But just where I'm at in the order, it doesn't seem like it's that feasible. I'm at the 10 spot, so I know the swing around. I know he's going to be taken once those tight ends start coming off the board. But Kyle Pitts is somebody who I'm absolutely huge on. He's going to see probably close to 100 targets this year. Calvin Ridley has some injury history. He may not be on the field that much. The Falcons are going to be losing a lot of games. Pitts is somebody who I think is going to be durable with him being so young, so fresh. And, we saw what he could do at the college level and be so dominant. And oftentimes when you see a tight end dominate so much in the collegiate level, that adjustment isn't as significant as it is, compared to other positions that you see. So, he's a good route runner already. Everything you hear about him coming out of camp has been, really positive stuff. I know they're super excited about him over there. So I predict him the number 1 tight end in fantasy for this year and for many years to come after this as well. So if you're in a dynasty league, he's somebody that I would strongly consider targeting. He's going to put up a lot of points. He's going to get a lot of targets and score a lot of touchdowns. They're going to really make it a point to get him the ball.
We gotta get you in the dynasty league, Matt. That's all I say. But yeah, that Kyle Pitts, he's definitely a
Not fired.
polarizing player.
All right,
That's for
Chips.
damn sure.
Give us your final bold.
I actually
That's
messed up
bold.
with my Gus Edwards one. I wasn't supposed to give that. But I'm
I'm
gonna run real quick
bolder than
though.
that.
Like my Mike Evans, I was gonna make Mike Evans. I don't think he will get 1,000 yards this year. Fun fact, he barely got that last year. He only had
Barely.
1,006 receiving yards, and Antonio Brown only played half the season's games, so 8 games. So I think Antonio Brown could be a more vocal point in the offense. I'm a believer that Chris Godwin kind of will be the elite wide receiver in totality in that offense, but I don't think Mike Evans will get 1,000 yards receiving. But my spicy take for tonight, AJ Green, Matt's former old boy.
I almost was gonna say AJ Green because I listen. I want to hear what you have to say, but he's gonna have a resurgence here.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short, but basically he's going as of wide receiver 75 on Fantasy Pros. That is last round material plus.
Not even.
And not even, but yeah, but you gotta look at it this way. He's playing in a potent offense with Kyle Murray. They have decent running backs. You have DeAndre Hopkins. He doesn't have to be that like main guy in the offense. He's gonna be playing second fiddle with the elite wide receiver right there. Christian Kirk, like if he's not catching like a 50-yard pass or nothing, he's basically useless in my estimations. Like he's still gonna be on the field, but the big thing is Larry Fitzgerald. He still hasn't been committal on his future status in the NFL. So if he doesn't set the field in week 1, like that, last year he had 70 targets, still as like a 36-year-old wide receiver. That's a walking
I think he's
foot
older
door.
than 36.
All right, 37, 38. He's old.
Up there, man. He's amazing.
For that man to get 72 targets last year, I think AJ Green with the bump down for Christian Kirk and like with guys like Kenyon Drake not eating as many touches up, I think he could get to like 90 targets almost and still be a viable option. So I think he'll be a wide receiver 3 this year at season's end, and you should be looking at him if he's on your waiver wire and if you need him. Obviously, wide receivers so deep this year, but it's a guy who's going to be making an impact for our fantasy leagues. He's going to be on the waiver wire, guys. I'm telling you. Oh, the waiver wire like list week to week. Yeah,
he's hungry this year, man. He did not play well last year. He wants to prove that he could still play in this league. And he's a, from the drop off that he had just from, the ankle injury 2 years ago, I still don't think he was, ready to go when he came back last year. Seemed like he was still getting his legs, under him. So I think we're going to see a lot different version of AJ Green this year. The age, obviously, a concern. But the talent, I think, still is there. Don't be fooled by last year, guys.
Okay. Well, this is going to be awkward then with my next and final bold take then.
Oh, you want to double down?
Well, I'm double down the other way, but so guys, I chose I said get bold, and I'm going to get bold on this one here too. So my extra bold take is that Kyle Murray does not finish as a top 10 fantasy quarterback this year in fantasy football. Now, let me tell you, first off, the best ever finish after a QB in the last almost decade now, who had finished fantasy quarterback number 1 the year before, was QB7, which was Pat Mahomes. Now, I understand. I get it. Kyle Murray was a superstar. But we saw clearly what happens when Kyle Murray gets hurt in a fantasy football game and he loses his ability to run the ball. And I feel like this Arizona offense is not the best ran organization right now. Kingsbury, I don't think he's a great coach. I think he's putting Kyle Murray in more harm than good when he's letting him just run all over the place, even though he's a weapon. You saw them. I think they're going to use their running back core a lot more this year. I don't think Kyle Murray gets, double-digit touchdowns in rushing. I think he had this past season here. Yeah, I know AJ Green's there now. We always have DeAndre Hopkins. Rondale Moore is there, but Rondale Moore is a guy who's always been injury prone. I'm not as big as you guys on the AJ Green train, unfortunately. So I think that it's being hyped up that Kyle Murray is just going to be a great top 5 fantasy quarterback, where at the end of the day, if things go wrong where he gets hurt again or they don't want him running the ball as much, he could find himself outside the top 10 this year. I think he's a great fantasy, good player, good football player. Absolutely. I love watching him play. But again, just getting a little bold on it. And that's my bold take, guys.
Hater.
I don't disagree with that at all. Most of his production came from rushing touchdowns last year. As a Kyler Murray owner last year, I'm staying away from him. I don't think he's going to duplicate those type of numbers.
Hey, love it. Matt agrees. That's all that matters, Jibs.
Oh, I
All
agree
that
too,
matters.
but not to that like extent. I think he probably gets 7 or 8, but
I think he falls outside the top 10. I do. Based off of the quarterbacks that I think are going to have breakout years this year, I could see him falling, anywhere between 11 to 13 as low as, because, he kind of came out of nowhere last year with his legs and how he was able to run around. A lot of his plays that he was, doing that on were like circus type plays. I mean, you don't see that happen year to year unless you're Pat Mahomes. And like you said, after the QB1 finish, QB7. So there's always adjustments that teams make to prepare. And if you could take Pat Mahomes down from 1 to 7, you're going to take Kyler Murray down a little bit more than that, because the talent differential between those two is pretty substantial in my opinion.
Exactly. Well said there, Matt. So those are our bold predictions for the evening, guys. Hope you liked them. Hope they were spicy. Hopefully you guys agree. If you disagree, whatever, just let us know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that for sure. Bold predictions are supposed to be fun. And that's kind of what this episode is, just kind of fun and obviously informative, of course. We gave a lot of good information. So, we're going to wrap things up today, guys. Matt, man, you were a great guest. This is actually my first time meeting you personally. So
yeah, it's great. Thanks for having me, guys. Loved it. Had a great time. Anytime, love talking fantasy, love talking sports. Been doing this for a long time. So the pleasure is pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Jibs hyped you up and the hype stuck. So I love it. So, but we appreciate you guys for all tuning in today. Obviously, this will be our last episode until we start our start and sits. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. If you stuck in here the whole time, my guy, I appreciate that always. I got to get you that football jersey. I meant to send you. So I'm getting it to you, man. I've been busy, man. I had exams and whatnot, and now football season's here. Now I have some more time right before the season starts. I'll get that out to you. But again, as always, guys, next week we do start our start and sit episodes every Thursday. Every Monday will be our waiver wire show. On Sundays we'll have my weekend recap show. This coming Tuesday will be our first actual Dynasty episode that will be during the season. It's separate from me and Jibs. It's some of our guys on our team. They're going to be talking Dynasty during the season, basically, that we don't get to talk to as much because, we're worrying about the season, actually. So that's going to entail some college stuff, some, buy low, sell high stuff throughout the season. So tune in for that on Wednesdays. Every Wednesdays, probably around this time, 6 to 7 or so. So you want to hear more about us, always check out our website at www.thefantasycoaches.com, and you can go follow us on Twitter at Coaches Fantasy. And if you ever want to reach out to me or Jibs personally, ask us some fantasy questions, you can do that at Coach Stephen P.
I'll take contract.
So take care, guys, and have a great one.